It's been 2 years of Professor Babagana Zulum's administration as the executive governor of Borno State, and it's been all-round development and massive economic growth, touching every sector from security to health, infrastructure, education and housing, bringing the deliverables of democracy to Borno residents. Welcome to Borno Restoration. I'm Jessie Tafida. But first, let's bring you up to speed with Borno Today. Over the past few decades, Nigeria's primary education sector has faced many challenges of rising insecurity, which have increased the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Despite the fact that primary education is officially free and compulsory, research reveals that about 10.5 million Nigerian children are not in school. This prompted the Nigerian government to adopt various strategies to increase enrollment and completion rate in primary schools. The National Homegrown School Feeding Program, established in 2016, was one of such interventions. But investigations across states indicate that the program is fraught with large-scale irregularities, poor quality control, and lack of basic equipment. The federal government is moving to address these challenges, and now the minister in charge of the program, Sadiya Umar Farouk, is here to present utensils to aid the operations of the program.
This intervention today is only one out of the several strategic plans of our ministry that seeks to ensure that the target pupils have the best experience of hygiene and safety during their consumption of these free meals.
I want to ask you to please, those of you who have been entrusted with this work, you are not working just for yourselves. You are working for God. This is God's work on earth to take care of his people. This is humanitarian service, and we require you to do it as well as you can.
The Borno State government is pleased with the utensils supplied and promises to ensure they are judiciously utilized.
I want to assure you that on behalf of His Excellency, these items will be judiciously utilized as directed. We thank you, and thank you.
I'm here to thank President Muhammad Buhari and Honorable Minister Hajiya Sadiya Umar Farouk for school feeding program.
Elsewhere, the minister and her team inspected the feeding of pupils at GRA Primary School and further inaugurated the Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics Center at the Federal Government College, Maiduguri. It's a dream come true for internally displaced persons in Maiduguri as the state government allocates houses to them at Guam community of Mafa Local Council. The 1,000 housing units consist of 2 blocks with socio-economic activities such as solar-powered electricity, 4 solar-powered boreholes, a market, police station, vocational training center, schools, among others. Just before the houses were handed over to the state government, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, took time to enumerate efforts of the President in bringing relief to victims of the insurgency. The Minister also affirmed that the project will go a long way to improve socio-economic well-being of the most vulnerable.
We're also handing over to the state government 1,000 mass housing units in Ongom out of the 10,000 houses that was approved by His Excellency Mr. President as special intervention. I would like to use this opportunity to commend the continuous efforts of the Managing Director and the entire team of the NEDC for carrying out their mandate.
We are currently pursuing intensive consultation with all stakeholders, after which we we should soon unveil a robust and harmonized master plan tagged the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan for the zone.
The Chief Executive of the state, Baba Gana Zulum, lauds President Muhammadu Buhari's joint stride in catering the needs of IDPs and ensuring that they are returned to their ancestral homes in a dignified manner.
The timing of this occasion is quite appropriate. The Borno State government is working assiduously to resettle all internally displaced persons back to their ancestral homes before the end of this year, especially those that are living in the Metropolitan Council, as peace is gradually returning to the most parts of the state.
Food and non-food items were also distributed to those returning to Gom community so as to enable them turn a new leaf. The returnees were also empowered with entrepreneurship equipment in order to make them self-reliant. The growth of any society depends on the level of education of its citizens. The education sector in Borno State have been devastated by over a decade-long insurgency, thereby forcing thousands of children to be out of school. But the Zulum administration came in with a 10-packed agenda, which revamping the education sector is part of it. From primary to higher and tertiary institutions, it's been massive development of the sector. Let's take this report. For centuries, education continues to play important roles around the world, advancing the frontiers of civilization through research and innovation, as well as serving as catalyst for cultural development. This has been the philosophy behind Professor Baba Gana Zulum's continuous intervention in the education sector since he assumed office as the Executive Governor of Borno State in 2019. As a state fast recovering from a decade-long Boko Haram devastation, Borno is now dubbed as the home of mega schools following construction of more primary and secondary schools with modern facilities in several communities. But Governor Zulum has not been resting on this laurel. He is not just interested in infrastructure development, but also in quality learning.
In terms of vocational training center, we constructed about 3 vocational training centers, one in Maiduguri Metropolitan, one in Mafa, and then one in Makumeri. And inshallah, we shall construct another one in Kwayakusari local government area of Borno State. What we intend to do is that we want to establish a sustainable vocational training centers. What we mean by a sustainable vocational training center is that a vocational training center that can train our youths to become independent. This 4 vocational training centers can at least graduate nothing fewer than 6,000 to 8,000 youths from Borno State per annum. And if these schools are well qualified, I think they can train others.
Professor Zulum has continued to advance the course of education in the state with construction of technical colleges and vocational institutes across the 3 senatorial districts. For Governor Zulum, education, above all, must serve the purpose of self-reliance, and this is one of the reasons the state tertiary education institutions are getting the required attention. Borno State University, Maiduguri, has remained in the spotlight of Governor Zulum's Education Master Plan. Established in 2016 amid significant progress under the previous administration, this citadel of learning has since 2019 witnessed accelerated infrastructure development. Governor Zulum completed the Senate building, road network, landscaping, among notable projects that were inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari when he visited the state in June. After building joint hostels with 150 rooms for 1,200 students, 34 duplex and bungalows for professors, senior lecturers, and intermediate staff, Governor Zulum began a plan towards a medical program at the university. To have a first-hand experience of developments in the State University, I met with Mahmoud Muhammad, the ICT coordinator for the institution, who served as my tour guide.
Education. And for us to have a prioritized education, of course,
our first port of call was the beautiful and well-furnished hostels with a conducive environment.
And for us to have a prioritized education, of course, we must have a conducive teaching and learning environment. For us to have a conducive teaching and learning environment, the student must have where to, sit or reside in order to have a healthy and clean environment. And His Excellency has built this state-of-art student hostels. It consists of 74 rooms downstairs, then 74 rooms upstairs, making 148 rooms. And we have 2 of the hostels, which makes 296 total number of the rooms. And each of the rooms has a capacity to accommodate 4 students. The kitchen is somewhere around there, while we have laundry. As you see, this is the laundry. His Excellency also drilled a borehole, and the borehole has two points of generating the water. One, we have the generator, and secondly, we have a solar system in case of failure of generator or otherwise. The electricity, it is connected to national grid and a 500 kVA generator that will power the entire students' hostel, both this hostel and the other hostels as well. We also provide internet facilities for them to have, browse and go through the internet and get extra teaching and learning, activities. This environment is for the students to sit and rest. When they go to school, class areas in the evening, if they come, they need to rest. So hence the school management says, let's have a resting place so that they can rest, and maybe at the same time they can read in the evening and night, because this place can comfortably accommodate a number of students. Maybe they can do their tutorials or group discussion, and as well reading at the same time, resting at the same time.
The tour took us to the Senate building, which houses the Vice Chancellor's office and other administrative offices, complete with fantastic interior decoration and furnishing. This massive investment in Borno State University is a deliberate attempt by Professor Babagana Zulum at revamping the education sector and making the university one of the best tertiary institutions in Nigeria and beyond. Join me as I engage Vice Chancellor of Borno State University, Professor Umar Kyari Sandabi, on some strategic efforts made by Governor Babagana Zulum in making this citadel of learning an envy of the Northeast Nigeria. Come along. Sir, going around the institution, we've seen a lot of edifices put in place. We would like to know, what is the philosophy behind establishing this institution?
The growing demands for getting degrees and higher degrees Secondly, growing applications from the Borno State indigents into universities. And having realized that the University of Maiduguri, which is in existence, cannot cope with the growing demands of the applicants. So the state government, intervened by establishing the Borno State University. By the mere fact that you have seen these edifices, and believe you me, you cannot go to many states and get this kind of edifices. Up to this moment, the state government is still, considering providing infrastructures to the university, because the objectives, the philosophy of the state government is that the state government wants a world-class university, a university that can bear its name, a university that can stand anywhere in the world and be called a university. That's why you can see that there are a lot of infrastructures like the faculties, like student hostels, that anything that can accommodate the students. If you see some other states, they just turn some other secondary schools into universities, or some other structures to universities, which is not befitting. But here, ab initio, the state government says no, we have to start with something concrete, and that's why the state government built all these things. And in terms of support, the predecessor to this governor and this governor also, they are heavily committed. In fact, the funding now is enough to run the activities of the university every month. We don't have any problem. And this is because the governor is also passionate to see that the university stands on its feet and then rub shoulders with other universities. Believe you me, if you give 5 to 10 years now, this university will compete with a lot of first generation and second generation universities.
Sir, can you take us through your faculties on ground now?
Yeah, we have 4 mega faculties, but in the course of time, we have the intention of splitting them. But for the purpose of taking off and for the purpose of getting support from the NUC and accreditation, we now lump many departments into 4 faculties. And we have Faculty of Science, we have Faculty of Agriculture, we have Faculty of Management Sciences, and we have Faculty of Arts. These are the arts and education combined. These are the 4 mega faculties. We have about 32 programs in running on the university.
Now, apart from the infrastructure, are you getting human capacity support from the government?
Yeah, our primary source of human resource came from the merger. Initially, the university was merged with the Kashim Ibrahim College of Education, because the state government realized that it has a lot of tertiary institutions, which is not necessary for now. So they merged Kashim Ibrahim College of Education with the Borno State University. And most of our non-academic staff were sourced from that place, and very few academic staff. But by and large, to take off, we use the sabbatical, professors on sabbatical, and visiting lecturers. That made us to take off with enough number of professors, senior lecturers, and readers to administer the programs for us.
All right, sir. Noting the fact that the state has been ravaged by over a decade-long insurgency, and the state government now investing so much in education sector, where do we see this sector in coming years?
Yeah, it will be a very robust one. In fact, if the commitment exhibited by the government and the governor made the university not to collapse, because Education is the backbone of any society, where you see if they want any progress, any development, or to forestall future uprisings or unwanted activities, you have to put a lot of efforts in education. That's why government committed a lot of resources to the education. That's why you can see the Borno State University itself is getting more attention from the government. And that will project the university to compete favorably with other tertiary institutions in trying to meet the demands of teeming youth who wants to acquire knowledge. That will make the state to progress at the faster lane, and this will make us to focus a very bright future for the education in the future. Because without giving attention to the education, other sectors may suffer also, whether it is agriculture, health, or social activities, labor, and everything. So that's why education is getting more priority. You know, when you have a very conducive environment for the people that are imparting the knowledge, you have them with a good office accommodation, with facilities, they may tend to give their best in terms of output. Now, for instance, if the university is on its feet, many people will be coming. And you can see the Senate building is a place where you can receive dignitaries. The Vice Chancellor may have dignitaries coming all over the world. They may go there. So the edifice, the kind of structures that you have, will give them the impression that you are very serious about these things. And so if for any reason you require or you request them to enter into certain agreements, they will accept it, having seen your structures, that this is a very serious institution. And you see some of these infrastructures. Now the world is going globally. People are no longer manual, digital. If you have gone, you will see some of the facilities are in conformity with the global standards. So these are things that will improve the thinking of our students, the thinking of the staff themselves, and the thinking of all of us, the administrators. So that's why those facilities that you have seen is in no way going to help in a very great way the impacting of knowledge.
Sir, seeing that this university is new, I'd like to know what relationship you have with other institutions across the country.
Yeah, you see, as a new institution, you cannot be an island to yourself. We have entered into memorandum of understanding with our neighbor, University of Maiduguri, because it is capital intensive in terms of establishing tertiary institutions. For instance, we have about 32 programs, and some of the labs that we need to run our programs will cost us a lot of money. But we have started focusing on how to bring those labs. But before we go to that stage, we have to solicit assistance from other tertiary institutions like University of Maiduguri, which is to our next door neighbor. We have entered into memorandum of understanding. We are now finalizing memorandum of understanding with University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. It's a tertiary institution also. We are also, communicating with other universities. We have gone into memorandum of understanding with 2 foreign universities. All this in an effort to uplift the quality and standards of the Borno State University. And then there are certain areas our students need to be exposed to what is happening globally. And so you have to bring some other people from other places of the world to come and tell them what is going on. And that's why we entered into memorandum of understanding with other universities. But we are still working very hard to enter into memorandum of understanding with other Europeans and American universities. That is the only way that it can globalize or make your institution universal.
And that's our package on this edition of Borno Restoration. Thanks for being part of it. I'm Jessie Tafida. See you next time. Bye for now.